Oh, and Karma has decided to start to play. Awesome. All right, let's get this angled. Yeah. Hi, Karma. Oh, there's Boba. All right. So I think that'll do there. Let me get going over here. Good morning. You can hear Karma's ball. All right. I think we're live here. Yeah. So the dog's going. I really need to get a real real tripod. All right. I'm always afraid things are gonna fall over and right in the middle. Okay. Not cooperating whatsoever today. Good morning. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on over here. That looks okay. This is a train wreck. Morning, Mom. How's the Hey, Deb. How's the picture over that's there on Facebook? Is that gonna work? It's really kind of weird right now. Okay, so I'm ready, I think. Yeah, we're ready. So yeah, someday, like I said, I'll get a nice tripod and camera system, but until that day, here we are. Let's see what's going on. I've been talking a little bit about how AnyDayYoga.com is a year old. This next week, I've got some big plans in my brain. I think I've been sort of fleshing these out over the last couple of weeks. So I'll have a nice, exciting, hopefully for you guys too, announcement next weekend. So watch for my emails. If you don't get my emails, make sure I have your address. And of course, I'll talk about them. I'll talk about my little plan here as well next Saturday morning. So kind of keep those things in mind. Visit the websites. I'm making some changes there, so things will start to look a little bit different. But everything's still there. All the classes, the membership is still there. So there's extra classes in there with some more pranayama classes and meditations. So yeah, keep your eye on that. Visit often, share with your friends, right? I'm trying to grow that side of things. So hopefully you'll feel inspired to share that information. Today we're going to do a few things that are a little bit different. Our focus is going to be pretty heavily on balance, but in 10 different ways, right? So if you don't love to stand up on one foot, if that's not super easy for you, then don't worry, because there's 25 other places you can do that, right? So, oh, hi, Lindy. Yeah, so check it out. Oh, Cheryl, hi. And do what you need to do. So if there's a place where we're balancing that it just isn't working for you, then take a child's pose and hang out until we move on to the next piece, or modify somehow, right? It's always your practice, your class, right? So you do what's right for you. Okay. So we're actually going to start in child's pose. Doesn't mean everything is going to be super simple, but that's where we're going to start. And hopefully the Bobo will share my mat with me. All right, buddy. So make your way into child's pose, and because it is early and this is our first place here, it may not be super comfortable. So if you want to prop, maybe you find a roll to lay over, rest your head on a block instead on the floor. Feel free to do that. And just kind of allow yourself to sink into it. So relax here, even if it isn't super comfortable. If you can't really prop in a way, maybe just don't set your hips quite as far back. Okay. But make it comfortable, whatever that is for now. Let your eyes close. There's nothing to look at anyway in child's pose, right? And just allow the awareness to move inward. Notice the places this morning that may be a little tight. Maybe there's places that you really need to get a good stretch into. And just allow yourself to really remain conscious of those needs. And here it's probably pretty easy to feel your breath. Your belly may or may not be able to expand and contract like it normally does as your breaths deepen. And then maybe because of that, you can feel your breath move into your side ribs or the lower back ribs even. The rib cage isn't as stiff as sometimes our brain thinks. There is a lot of expansion and contraction there. So finding that nice full yoga breath and keeping our attention on the areas of the body that we're working at the time and that we need to keep special awareness of. Let's go ahead and leave the eyes closed, at least for a moment here, and gently make your way up into an all-fours position. And with your eyes closed, see if you can feel your wrists up underneath your shoulders rather than looking. If you have to look, of course do. But if you don't, maybe you don't. Feel the knees up underneath the hips. Make sure the belly's pulled in, supporting the back as always. And see about keeping your eyes closed for the next few minutes here on the hands and knees. We're not really going anywhere, so you don't have to look necessarily. And we're going to start by flowing through some cat-cow. So on an inhale, drop the belly and chest toward the floor. And then with the exhale, round the spine up toward the ceiling. And then just flow in and out of those two poses with your breath. You can see if you can gradually work a little deeper into the spine. Notice the tighter spots, see if you can open into them. Let's take one more flow like that. And then just come back to the middle. So making sure you feel steady, stable here, the belly's working, right? Again, if you can keep your eyes closed here, do. Give yourself a little test of the balance. This can be challenging even with the eyes open. So if you need them open, of course, take them. Let's go ahead and extend the right leg straight back. We want to press through the heel, feel the hamstring engaged at least as much as your glute. And then from there, stretch the left arm forward and reach away from the body in each of these directions. You'll have that lights up your middle, even if you weren't necessarily before. And again, there's a little bit of a wobble, so if you need your eyes open, then definitely take them open. We're going to release that side and then move to the second side. So the left leg, press through the heel, make it work, and then right arm, stretching forward when you're ready. Nice full breaths here. Don't forget to breathe. And then we're going to release that. Let's go back to the right leg and left arm. That same idea of stretching away from the body. Maybe eyes open. Maybe you can go closed. Okay. Let's see about taking the arm over to the left, hand in line with the shoulder-ish. And then the leg around to the right, heel in line with the hip-ish. Stretch away from the body. And then take your hand back to the mat. We're gonna take the toes to the floor on the side here. Come up on the left knee. So cushion your knee if you need. Heel in line with the hip, toes pointing forward. We're gonna stretch the left arm up toward the ceiling and then take it over the side. So we're kind of maybe reaching down the right leg a little bit. Belly's in, shoulders drawn back, maybe looking up at the ceiling or having the eyes closed here. Play with it and see what variations are good for you. One more big breath. And then we're coming back up again. Inhale. Take the hands back to the mat. Lift the leg out there, take it back, and then drop the knee back to the floor. So second side, left leg, right arm. Take your time here, making sure you're stable, and then opening out to the sides if and when you're ready. Drop the hand back to the floor, take it, the toes to the floor on the side here, and then up on the right. So adjust if you need to adjust at any point. Belly's in, we're stretching the right arm up, take it over. One more nice big breath here. And then inhale as we come back to center. Release the hands. And then lifting the leg, take it behind and down. So one more here, working the balance, of course. Go ahead and take that right leg back again and bend at the knee. So lean to the left just enough and see if you can lift your right hand. If you can lift the hand without falling over, maybe you can find your foot here. So take your time. If you've got the hand and the knee up off the floor, that's balancing. You can square your hips, you can kick the foot into the hand, lift the toes maybe. Find where it is. Find a wobble. If it's too easy, you might as well be sitting on the couch, right? Take one more breath. And then gently release as if you blink and fall. And we'll work the second time. So extend the left leg. Go ahead and bend the knee and start the shift. And you gotta find the sweet spot. If and when you can, lift the left hand and maybe find the foot here. So pressing the foot into the hand, squaring up the hips. Again, find where it is right here. Sometimes once the body is better on one side, the brain finds it a little bit easier to do it on the other side. And then let's go ahead and release that. Come back to all fours. Nice and easy here. Let's sit back into a child's pose. Allowing the spine to stretch. Relax here for a moment. And then stretch the arms out long in front. Round the four corners of the hands. We're going to shift forward into kneeling plank this time. So letting the hips come forward. Hands are a little further away from the knees. But check in. The belly is still pulled in. The shoulders are neutral on the back. Four corners of the hands even into the mat. Let's take side plank. Take your left foot and then take it over to the left, opening your body to the right. So we're on the left hand, left knee, with the right toes at the back of the mat and the body's in this nice straight line. Anytime you're in side planks, this can be a variation. We are going to be in side planks again today, so keep this in mind. Belly's in, shoulders are stacked, hips are stacked-ish. Maybe reach the right arm up. You can lift the right toes up off the floor or not here. Following the breath, take your right hand, exhale, weave it between your body and the floor. Reach behind you here. And then inhale, stretch to the ceiling. Exhale, thread it through. So just following your breath like that. Okay. Let's take one more breath like that. Yeah. Stretch back up to the ceiling and rotate into kneeling plank. So let's bend the elbows tight to the sides, drop on down to your belly. And then just a little shoulder shrug. So pull your shoulders up by your ears, together on your back, down toward your hip bones. Hug your elbows in. Just a nice, gentle little baby cobra. Release it back down. Press all the way back up into your kneeling plank. And then we're going to work our second side. So the right foot over to the right, opening the body to the left. Even on that right hand. And then adding in, extending the arm, lifting the leg. Remember, all of these little options are up to you. Taking that left hand, thread it through, exhale, reach. Inhale back up. Again. One more time. And then back into our kneeling plank. So again, from here, elbows tight to the sides, drop on down to the belly. Hands next to the side ribs, hug the elbows in, roll into the shoulders like we did. And then add a little bit with the hands. So pull like you're pulling your belly button forward. And keep that pulling idea, pressing the hands to come up a little higher. Squeeze your elbows in. Release it back down. Press it back into your kneeling plank. And then come back into child's pose. Releasing the muscles, lengthening your spine. Slowing the breath. Let's gently make our way into a down dog. And of course, like always, our first down dog, we get to just sort of wiggle and stretch into it. And as we begin to settle in here, reach around the four corners of your hands, really evenly into the mat, being very aware of your foundation. Press away from the floor, so you kind of press the hips back just by activating the arms, right? But it also, of course, activates your arm muscles. Sinking the heels toward the floor, whether they touch or not, feeling a nice stretch in the backs of the calves. Of course, your hamstrings, your lower back. And then from here, shift forward into plank. You can absolutely be down on your knees again here. Shoulders are back, belly is in, press through the heels, make the legs work as much as your upper body. And then bending into the elbows, drop it all down. Hands next to the side ribs, let's roll, pull, and maybe that little bit of a press. Elbows in, drop on down. Keep the elbows in as you press back to your down dog. And then we'll walk the feet to the hands, come to standing fold. Wiggle around a little bit here, so kind of that walking in place idea. You can let your shoulders kind of rest, let your head rest, just let it hang. And then let's find a center. We're gonna open the feet a little wider. So maybe just outside of the shoulders or so. Toes are gonna point forward. Okay. Kind of being nice and even on your feet for right now anyway. And again, just let yourself hang here. So feeling the difference in the stretch. Keep that kind of ragdoll idea. And if you want a little bend in your knees, certainly take it. We're gonna take the hands over to the right. So whether you touch the floor, your foot, or your shin, or your knee, or your thigh even maybe, right? Just sort of lean over to that side. Coming back to the middle, take it over to the left. Same idea, just really relaxed. Letting your shoulders release, shifting the body weight. And then bring it back to center. Let's take the feet a step wider. So it doesn't have to be crazy. You can still be on your mat. You can turn sideways to be on your mat. You can be off your mat, just so that your foot isn't half on and half off wherever you are. Because we're gonna really make it stable and steady here. So the four corners of the feet are gonna stay pressing down into the floor. Legs straight if you can have them straight. Remember, your hands don't have to touch the floor here. So if they're up on the shins and your legs are straight, that's totally fine. And you can even lean, right? If your body needs you to lean on the shins or the thighs. So we're gonna keep the lower body doing that and walk the hands over to the right again. So again, floor, foot, shin, thigh, whatever. So if you feel the body weight shift overall into this right foot, shift your hips back to the middle and just bring your upper body along. Come on back through the center, and then do the same thing to the second side. Keeping the weight steady and even in the feet. And then back to the middle. Let's open the feet an extra step wider. So again, whether you're sideways or off your mat or whatever, just so that the feet are still even. And it does not have to be a crazy wide straddle. If you need a block, take a block, certainly. So bring the hands right up underneath the shoulders with the arms straight. And that might not be the deepest fold you have. That's totally okay. That's not what we're necessarily going for right now. From here, take your left hand kind of underneath your face, so it's in the middle, and bring your right hand to the hip. Keeping the legs doing exactly what they've been doing, right in the middle there. Imagine rotating your belly button to the right. The hips are going to want to come along. Don't let them. Turning your side ribs toward the ceiling, drawing the shoulder back. And again, not necessarily the biggest twist you've ever had. It is still early. Make sure you're breathing. And then let's release it. Switching sides, right hand in the middle and the left hand to the hip. Rotating around. So the weight is steady in your feet. Your spine is nice and long here. And then we're releasing that. So let's come back to center. Bring the feet back in. Four corners nice and even on the floor here. If you need your hands on your thighs, certainly take them there to your hips otherwise. Belly's in, shoulders are back. We're coming halfway up and we're gonna hold in the middle. So this may be a big stretch for you. It may be a bit of work for your hamstrings. Inhale, hinge all the way up. And then let's release the arms. And we're gonna step back into a straddle. So a standing straddle this time. Instead of the toes pointing forward though, go ahead and turn the toes out to the corners a little bit. And you can adjust your feet wider, you can adjust your toes wider if you need. Bend into the knees and check that you see your toes beyond your knees. Right? So not to the outsides with your knees collapsing in. Right? Usually it doesn't happen the other way around, toes in and knees out, but if that's how you make sure it's you're neutral. So once you can see your toes, go ahead and take your legs straight. And then extend the arms, making the body like a big X. With your breath, exhale, bend your elbows and knees. And then inhale, come back up again. So in and out like that, super simple. We tend to drop the chest forward and stick the butt out when we come down, but try not to. Keep your body upright, up and down. Feel the muscles move evenly. If you feel your body weight shifting left and right, try to stay really centered. So let's go once more, up and down. We're going to hold the squat. Keep the belly in. Again, the upper body is upright, not hinging forward here. How about coming up on the toes? Maybe taking the arms out. Stay on your toes if you can. Inhale, take the legs straight, stretch toward the ceiling. And then release your arms and your heels. And we'll step back to the top of the mat. So hello, calf muscles. Let's inhale the arms, take a nice stretch to the ceiling. And then we're going to exhale, take it over into fold. From here, go ahead and step back to a down dog. And then let's shift forward, come to plank. So the belly's in, the shoulders are back. Remember, you can take a kneeling variation, and we're moving over into side plank. So drop the heels over to the left. So the feet can stack, one can be in front of the other, the knee can be on the floor like it was earlier. Extend the right arm. What about lifting the right leg? So if you're on the knee, this isn't going to quite work. But if you're in a full side plank, keep that right leg lifted. Take your right hand back to the floor, rotate around, come to three-legged dog. If you were on the knee, just make your way into three-legged dog. From that three-legged dog, we're going to step the right foot forward in the lunge. And this can be a left knee down variation. Sweep the legs toward each other. Let's take that right leg straight. We're going to bend back into the right knee. If you have the left knee on the floor, you're going to have to lift it. Hop the left foot forward until you can take all the weight into the right foot. Left toes are up off the floor, however high. You're going to go however high. Think pointing your toes to the ceiling. It may not be anywhere near that in reality, but that's what's happening in your brain, right? However high your leg is, take one hand up off the floor. And you can grab onto your calf or your ankle or your thigh, even if wherever that hand goes. See then if you can take the other hand up off the floor, even if it's for a millisecond. Release the hands back to the mat. Bend back into the right knee, step way back for lunge. Knee down variation again here if you want it. Sweep the legs toward each other. We're going to climb up on the right thigh. Lift the upper body. Press through the heel. Make that leg nice and strong or straight. Sometimes that knee bends so you can lift up. Keep it as straight as you can, and maybe the upper body just doesn't come quite as vertical. If you need to hang on to the thigh, certainly do. Otherwise, extend the arms, reach to the ceiling. And take one more breath. And then drop the back heel. Open the arms out to the side. So the right arm reaching forward, the left arm reaching back. Hands shoulder height. You can see your right big toe beyond your right knee. Even in the feet, let the hips descend. And then take the arms, cartwheel around, coming back into your lunge. From here, drop the left knee. And let the hands come to the inside of the foot here. Hug the knee into the shoulder. Continue to descend into your hips here. You can bend your elbows back. And maybe the elbows will come to the floor. If your foot comes up off the floor and the knee falls out to the side just to get your elbows down, or your spine rounds just to get your elbows down, don't do that. Lead with your hips rather than the elbows. And maybe someday the elbows come to the floor, and maybe they never do. This is still a really strange position, isn't it? We'll come back up onto the hands. Straddle the foot again here and step back to our down dog. Let's go ahead, shift forward, come to plank. Take the knees if you'd like, down to the belly. Slide the hands back, roll, pull, press into cobra. And then release back to your down dog. So go ahead and drop on down to the knees. Take a little mini break in between sides here. That side B coming. And then we're going to lift back to down dog. So we're going to be moving into side plank. So shifting forward, come to plank, drop to the knees if you need to take that kneeling variation. The heels are going to move to the right, and the feet stack, or one in front of the other, or whatever else. Maybe the arm lifts, maybe that left leg lifts. Keep the left toes up off the floor if you can. Bring the left hand to the floor and back into your three-legged dog. So however you do get to three-legged dog, take it. Step the left foot through the hands. Toes to fingers. Right into the floor variation if you want it. Let's take the left leg straight. Nice fold of the leg here. And then bend back into the knee. Again, you'll need to lift that right knee up off the floor. We're hopping the right toes in and then lifting them away from the mat. Doesn't matter how high, but lift them as high as you can. And then keep that. One hand comes up off the floor. How about two? We'll release that, two hands back to the mat, bend back into the knee, step back to lunge. Take the knee down if you want. Sweep the legs toward each other for stability. We'll climb up on the thigh. Lift the upper body. And again, if the knee needs to be on the floor, it does. Otherwise, that right leg is nice and straight. Push through the heel. Keep lifting the chest. Go ahead and lift your arms if you'd like. Make sure you're breathing. And then let's open it up. Drop the back heel, left arm forward, right arm back. Just check in, make sure your feet are doing what you think there. Let's cartwheel back over into our lunge again. Up on the back toes and then down on that back knee. So even if you weren't before, bring the left hand to the inside. Sink the hips forward and down. And then bend at the elbows. Keep the knee touching the shoulder-ish area. And then come back up onto the hands. Straddle the foot, step back down, dog. So then the last time here, let's shift forward, come into plank. Knees if you'd like, take it down to the belly. Roll, pull, press to your cobra. And then release. Back to down dog. And then let's go ahead and drop down to the knees, take child's pose. So from our child's pose, let's make our way back to down dog. And step the feet forward into fold again. So probably take your feet wider again. So whether it's just outside of your shoulders or where exactly they end up is always up to you. I like to turn my toes out a little bit. If you don't need to though, maybe don't. We want to keep the feet flat on the floor. We're going to bend into the knees and drop the hips into a squat. So if you feel like you're about to drop back on your booty, maybe open the feet or open the toes a little bit. See where your body needs to be so you can find your way here. And then the more you bring your chest forward, the less you feel like you're going to fall backward. We're going to use the triceps to the insides of the legs, but push out with your arms, pull in with your legs. You can bring the palms to touch, you can bring the thumbs to the center of the chest. Ish. And then make your way back to fold. So feet up underneath the hip bones. We're going to come up on the toes and drop back into the hips again. So this time our squat is, I don't know, maybe it's easier, maybe not. So imagine hugging your legs toward each other, especially if you're feeling a little bit wobbly here. Your hands can absolutely stay on the floor if they need to. Climb up on the thighs, otherwise lifting your chest. So we're on our toes, and it may feel a little bit wobbly, you may be really super unbalanced, and you need your hands on the floor. Right? So just see what you need to do here. Make sure your belly's pulled in, lifting your chest if you can. If you need the support, for sure, use your thighs. Otherwise, maybe palms together. Stay on your toes if you can, and come all the way up to standing. Reach the arms, stay on your toes, and then release it all. And maybe that was smooth and graceful, and maybe you feel bad, but no one can see you here at home. So we're going to take our standing balance here, and it may turn into something similar to where we just were, right? So tons of options and tons of places to be. Wherever you're feeling enough challenge is where you want to be, right? And you can even take this a little bit more simple. We'll get to that in just a second. So we're going to take all the weight over into the right foot and lift the left leg. Opening the knee out to the left, you have the option of simple tree, bringing the foot to the inside of your leg, anywhere but on your knee joint. But maybe see if you can take the ankle bone and to the front of your right thigh. So the left toes, well, the foot is flexed and the toes are pointing at the floor. Either way, whether it's in front of or on the leg. Hug into the middle. Right? Feel that kind of stabilizing idea, and you may still be wobbling all over the place, but it's better than if you didn't. So the palms to touch. If you're in tree, you're going to stay upright. If you've got the foot in front, see about bending into the knee. Bringing the upper body forward. And in your head anyway, think elbow to knee, elbow to ankle or foot or however you see that. And then see if you can bring your fingertips to the floor. Bend into the right knee more. And what about sitting back into that squat? Lift your chest. You might need your hands on the floor. Maybe just one. So find your way, right? Find where it's enough work. And then the really fun part, you need to make your way out of that. So come back up. Take your time. And then release it all. Right? So again, sometimes super graceful and very simple, not easy, simple. And sometimes it's a big train wreck. So on the way to the left, lift the right and open at the knee. So again, you decide exactly where this foot goes. Hug into center wherever you are, standing nice and tall. If the foot is in front of the thigh, you can go ahead and bend, and you can hold here. You can take it deeper by bringing the upper body forward. Maybe take your fingertips to the floor here. And you can take that left leg straight even and just hold here. Or you can bend deeper into the knee, bringing the hips down and squat. And then you can stay with your fingertips on the floor. You can maybe try to work one hand up or not. Find where it's work. Because if it's not work, again, you might as well be sitting on the couch, right? And then let's make our way back up. The really fun part. All the way back to standing. And then release it all. So let's go ahead, lift the arms. Inhale. Gently take yourself over into fold. And then step back toward down dog. Dropping down to the knees. Go ahead and sit back in one last child's pose. And notice how much better this one feels than the first one. Let's go ahead and lift the upper body. How we just sit up on the heels. And then bring our legs around front. So stretch the legs out long. Make sure you're upright on your pelvis here. Belly's in. We'll reach the arms. Hinge from the hip, coming forward. Let your hands fall where they fall. So imagine you're leading with your chest towards your toes rather than with your fingers toward your toes. Keeping the spine neutral. Hands just kind of fall where they fall. One more big breath. And then let's hinge it back up again. Release the arms. Taking the feet flat to the floor, you'll want to move forward enough so that when you're ready to roll back, you can just roll back and still land on your mat and on the floor. Hang on to the hamstrings. Lift your chest here. Take the arms almost straight. And then keep that as you lift your toes away from the floor. You can leave your toes low, you can bring them to the middle, you can extend the legs, wherever they need to be, and you can hang on or let go in any of those places. So if your legs are straight, bend your knees and bring the soles of your feet together. Hang onto your ankles and pull your heels toward your groin. Lift the chest here. Without releasing your toes to the floor, if you can, instead of hanging onto your ankles, take your index and middle fingers, wrap them around your big toes. Keep the chest lifted like crazy, hold your balance. What about taking the right leg straight, or straight-ish? Just like when we are on our feet, the body weight wants to lean over to the right. Try and stay in the center. Bring it back in, extend the left leg. And then bring it back in. How about extending both? So they don't have to be straight, they don't have to be wide. Just open, hang on to your toes, and use your belly more than your arms so that you don't feel like you're going to pull your toes off. Let's bring the feet back together. Hang on to the ankles again. Keep the chest lifted for just another moment. And then go ahead and C-curve your spine, and it happens pretty naturally. Roll on down to your back. With the soles of the feet together, take the feet to the floor, and just let your knees rest open to the sides. Release your belly, your back, the inner hip here. If you like the sensation, take your hands to the tops of your thighs, right where they meet your hips, and use your hands to press the lower body away from the upper body. If it doesn't feel good to you, don't worry about it. But if it feels good, use it. Let's release that and bring the knees together. Drawing the knees into the chest. Let yourself rock a little bit here. We'll take the feet flat to the floor. Crossing the left ankle over the right knee. We're going to reach back behind the right thigh and interlace the fingers. So keep your feet flexed. We're drawing the right leg in toward the chest. You can press the left leg away a little bit if that feels good. And just continue to draw that right leg into the chest. So you can always use a strap here if this is not accessible. What about taking your right leg straight? And if you had a strap, you could take it across the ball line of your foot. And the idea is to be here. This looks kind of like where we were standing up, right? Pulling that leg in without letting the spine round. So your backside should be pretty neutral here. Keep the arms pulling the leg towards you, but now push with the right hamstring back into your hands. So you got that push and pull going on. The spine is as neutral as it can be. And then gently release it, taking both feet flat to the floor again. So let's move to the second side. Same idea here. right ankle over the left knee, reaching back behind the left thumb. So you can use your strap here with the strap behind the thigh even. But give yourself a second here before you worry about that left leg being straight necessarily. Pull the left leg in, press the right leg away, and find a neutral spine. There's a lot going on, even though it doesn't look like much. And then once you've established that idea, see about taking your left leg straight. Keep pulling the left leg toward the body. Push the leg back into the hands. Make it a little bit of work even. Feel that kind of shake in your arms, maybe in your leg. And then let's go ahead and release that back to the floor. So open your arms out into a T position. And then let's shift the hips over to the right and let the legs fall to the left. So just make sure that your spine feels long. Release your legs to the floor. They may not touch, they may not touch each other, it doesn't matter. You can look over your right hand if you'd like that little extra. And just let the right shoulder sink, the legs sink. Almost finding a little bit of Shavasana in this last twist. And just like before, if you like, maybe extend your right leg, taking your toes closer to your left hand. You can absolutely extend them both, or you can not. So find the option that's right for you. And just like when we're in person, this last twist is always your have options, right? So if you wanted to cross your legs, or if you just wanted to let the legs fall rather than shifting the hips, or some other variation, you can always take it here. We'll take another nice big breath. And then bend back at the knees if you took them straight. We're going to come back to center. And then switch sides. So if you shifted the hips, go ahead and do that here. Whatever variation you did on the other side, try to match that up as much as possible here. Releasing the weight of the body, the shoulder, the legs. Taking a leg or legs straight or not. Let's take another nice big breath. And then make your way back to center. One last time then, go ahead and draw the knees into the chest. Give yourself a rock. And then we're going to squeeze the knees in tight. Pull the forehead toward the knees. Give yourself a hug. Release it out into a full body stretch. Getting extra long again. Release your stretch and bring the arms down by your sides. Find comfortable, whatever that might look like today. Drop if you need to fall. And then once you've found that comfy place, release the muscles. Allow the body weight to just sink back into the mat. Bringing the awareness back solely to the breath. Releasing control of the breath and seeing if you can stay focused on it. And the only thing to do anymore is to simply sit and watch yourself breathe. If the mind wanders off and starts to do something, just bring it back. Allow yourself to simply be present and relaxed. stay here as long as you like. Otherwise, allow your breath to gently deepen. Restore small movements to the body, gradually wiggling, moving, and stretching. And when you're ready, making your way slowly up to seated. Bringing the palms to touch, bowing to the light within. Namaste. Thanks for playing today, you guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully the dogs weren't too nuts early in class. Remember, if you have requests or suggestions or whatever, to certainly reach out to me in the few days before, like Thursday or Friday, or even sometimes Saturday mornings, because I haven't planned by Saturday morning yet. And check in with anydayyoga.com and stay tuned. This next week I'll have a nice big fat announcement for you guys. I'm super excited about it. So I hope you will be too. Have a wonderful day and weekend, and we'll see you next week. Hi, Diane. Bye, Lindy. Bye, Pam. Kathy. Bye, guys.